Hello, this is Fabi with Equity.Guru. And if you're anything like me, when you go to invest or speculate, sometimes we want a tiny little company that has a lot of potential. That's how you make your doubles and triples and sometimes even 10 baggers. If you're into that kind of company, then you gotta check this one out. Come with me.
So here we have Saville Resources, niobium in Canada. If you already know the niobium story, then you're probably looking for developers or explorers. Because as you will know, all the producers are right now private companies. So that creates just a very small short list of companies to invest in outside of producers. So the current share price is 4.5 cents. This is today the 21st of March 2019, we're looking at under $3 million market cap with just over 63 million shares out. This is the typical tiny cap that if the story catches on, and I'm not just talking about the story of the company itself, but also of niobium as an investment vehicle, as an asset, then you might come back here and see that the stock has doubled on very little volume. So niobium might really fly in the next few years, but the question is who is at the helm of the company? So here we have some of the management team, and here's, I think, a chance, here's a possibility where management could be strengthened with people who have been in this tiny little niche for a very long time, to niche down, to get people who have worked with CBMM or maybe who have worked with Niobec. Those are the guys that, if I were Mike Hodge, I would try to attract to my team in order to give more credence to the stock, to the company. Their most interesting asset is definitely the niobium claim group, and this is situated in northern Quebec. Interesting to see here that it says the territory is under treaty through a modern land claims agreement with defined mechanisms in place for engagement and consultation with Indigenous groups as well as resource management. So you want this part of the story to be very low risk. You do not want people to be opposed to your project even at this stage. Now, they don't own the property outright yet. They can earn up to 75% of the project as long as they spend $5 million over 5 years. And when we get to the project later on, you're going to see how interesting this is. So a quick word about niobium. Niobium is used to strengthen steel. It's used in oil and gas pipes. It's used most recently in the making of cars, it's in MRI machines, and it's started to be used for EV batteries. My bet is if Toshiba's EV battery catches on, it has niobium and titanium, and the whole sector could really fly. And here you're going to see why they were willing to sign for a $5 million deal for this project. In the southeast area of the project, you have 17 drills historically, and you can see that they have hit really good intercepts, like 0.82% of niobium over 21 or almost 22 meters from 4 meters of depth. So basically, I could dig this deep and find mineralization, a good niobium intercept of 22 meters that stands at 50% richer than the only current Canadian niobium mine. So the current niobium mine has an average of 0.52%, I believe. This is 0.82% from very, very shallow depths. Then they have another intercept at 0.90%, getting even better. And then 1.09% over almost 6 meters, which is a deeper intercept, but still not bad at 250. In the northwest area, you have another intercept of 12 meters. That's pretty shallow too, only 66 meters of depth, 0.61% of niobium. So you can see that all of these hits so far have been higher than the only Canadian producing mine, but it gets better. The Marana area is really sort of the star of the show here. So we are looking at grades that even surpass what the highest grade mine in the world is being mined at, which is roughly 2.5% niobium. So you have here showings of niobium at 593%, 4.3, etc., etc. They're all extremely high percentage rich niobium showings. The thing here is that this is a preliminary test. So this is from the boulders, rocks that are basically sticking out of the ground. They go in, they grab chip samples of it, and they test those. And those are usually much better showings than what you have in the ground, depending on how the ore body has been formed. So just because we see 5.93% niobium here does not mean that you're going to see several meters underground of this rich of a material. But it indicates that there is a possibility that there's a lot more niobium in this area. If anything, even close to this can be proven, then you're doing very well. So in order to do that, you have to get out into the field and drill. That's what they're intending to do. Now, I gotta add a couple of more things that I think we should note about Saville Resources. One is that I would like to see, like I mentioned, beefing up of the management team. The other fact is that they really need a website that showcases what they have. If they can find niobium, if they can get continuity to what they have already found, this could be really worth something, but more people need to know about it. The other thing that you won't see here in their presentation, but you have to dig into CDAR in order to see, and I happen to do so, is that the G&A of Saville Resources, and this is a huge point, is tiny. So they don't really spend much with themselves. They don't really pay themselves very much at all. The CEO has more than 2 million shares, but he bought it at 5 cents. So if you got in now, you'd be getting it at a lower level than even he would get. So these guys, from what I see here, are not taking out huge salaries, spending it on Lambos. When you participate in a private placement, I don't think that's going to fund golfing trips or private jets or anything silly like that. The grades that they've been able to find preliminarily have been really great. The jurisdiction seems to be really solid. Another thing is that they're actually cashed up. So I went into CDAR and I read some of their stuff. They're sitting on about 1 million Canadian dollars here. Their G&A is tiny, as you will see. But they've also just optioned the Quebec nickel, copper, cobalt property in Quebec for $1.2 million. So that money is gonna come dripping in within the next 36 months or so. They will still hold a 2% net smelter return on it. So this is money that they will have coming in with the 1 million that they're still holding. And the fact that they're really not huge spenders makes this very interesting. So a diamond in the rough, it needs a little bit of polish. It needs more exploration work, all in due time. There's still a new company. There's still a lot of work to be done. But like I said, if you've been following me, if you've been following the niobium story, if niobium is the next battery metal, then watch out, because you could sneeze and all of a sudden, you know, this double, triples, and quadruples. So I'm watching this one very carefully, and I think you should watch it too.